I just thought you might want to see what the bottom of 190, well actually it's a 140,000 mile engine looks like.
I've taken a gamble in order to save €300, which could either save me €300 or cost me €300. Hello and welcome back to the Volks Wizard channel, and welcome to episode 6 of Projects RS4. In episode 1, I showed you the purchase and collection of what was the cheapest Audi RS4 in the UK at the time. In episode 2, I explained why it was so cheap with an honest appraisal of its condition. In episode 3, I fixed an elusive engine fault for just £20. And in episode 4, I got it ready for the restoration of its Audi exclusive cherry black bodywork. And in the last episode, I showed you whether all that time, effort and expense was worth it. In today's video though, we're going to concentrate back again on the car's mechanicals, because when I bought it, it had been waiting for a new sump and the owner had been very patient, but after 4 weeks he just had enough, and that's why he offered it to me. It was his daily drive and it just wasn't practical, a car being off the road such a long time, because Audi do not make it easy to get parts for these older cars. Whilst he couldn't get one after 4 weeks, I've managed to get my hands on one. I've been a bit reckless though, because I've taken a gamble in order to save €300, which could either save me €300 or cost me €300, and the only way to find out is by taking the old sump off. But before we get our hands dirty, take this opportunity with this rare bit of sun in the middle of winter to appreciate the purple qualities of the cherry black paintwork. I know in previous videos, particularly the reveal video, the last one, it was pretty hard to appreciate the colour, and it's quite easy to mistake it for black out of the sun, but in the sun hopefully you can see there's quite a lot of purple to it, particularly here where the sun's dead onto it. Isn't that gorgeous? Right, now let's get our hands dirty.
Okay, so you can see the sump is visibly rusty, and it's rusty to a point now where the steel's lost its integrity and oil is seeping through it. You can see how it's on the anti-roll bar and it's on the subframe as well. So you never know at what point it's going to give way, and if that happens you could have catastrophic engine failure. So it definitely needs a sump. I knew that when I bought the car. So this is the new sump. Now what perplexed me was that this sump with the oil level sensor here was €650 or thereabouts, and this one, which was also listed for an RS4, was €350, so nearly half price. The only difference is that the oil level sensor is, I guess, towards the centre, not at the centre of the sump. In this one, it's on the side, so it's basically here. So I had to think about this, realise that it's worth a go, because the loom is longer to reach here, so it will definitely reach here, and it has to be worth a go. It's the same engine code whether it has this sump or not. Audi traditions say you should contact Audi to check parts fit, but actually, can you imagine asking this question to an Audi main dealer parts person? It's just not going to happen. So I thought I'd just give it a try. Now to swap the sump, it's not terrible. By the way, this is just the lower part of the sump. There's an upper part that's aluminium as well. So it doesn't extend back over the subframe like you might get on some 2-litre A4s. But to get it off, we obviously have to undo all these bolts. And to get it off, and to get to those, we have to undo this coolant pipe, which has got a couple of bolts each side there. We have to just, undo the anti-roll bar bolts onto the subframe there to each side. And then there's a bracket somewhere, I think to do with the air conditioning. It's probably over here somewhere, that connects to one of the sump bolts, so that's that as well. Not too bad, really. So yeah, let's see if my €300 gamble has paid off. Now the workshop manual does say drain the coolant from the thermostat housing, which is here, but I'm not going to do that. On old cars, it's best not to disturb any more than you absolutely have to. Now that actually, there's just one bolt holding this pipe to the thermostat housing, so hopefully it should start draining. Nope, one more to go. Oh man, that's tight. That is tight. That could be a problem. I was suddenly getting a bit depressed about the project because I've spotted a CV boot issue over there. It looks like the boot's come off the joint. Actually, it's not split. I know this car's had CV joints in the past, but just undoing this water pipe to get the sump off, there's a T30 bolt there, another one on this side, and it's rounding off straight away. It's really soft metal, and it seems pretty stuck into the upper sump. Luckily, not into the block, but luckily, with this flat blade screwdriver and a hammer, I've been able to free it off, and I'm just turning it around. We have coolant. Useless. Okay, so this is the second bolt, and as you can see, the head's really rounded off. I have managed to chisel it off again. It was a little bit harder because access is tricky, but you can actually start moving the pipe if you undo the right hand bolt, and that helps you get to this. So yeah, they'll need replacing, but we've got other things to worry about for now, like the anti-roll bar bolts. Okay, with the anti-roll bar bolts removed, the anti-roll bar's got some flex in it now, which means it can clear the sump. So that just leaves two 10mm nuts that hold this aircon bracket on, and then we can get onto the 10mm bolts that hold the sump on. But before we do that, I think we need to drain the oil. That's quite important. Okay, so the dipstick's out and the oil filler cap's off, and we just need to undo the drain plug, which is probably over tightened. 340 torques, and we just now need to leave this to drain. Okay, so that's nearly finished draining now, so I'm going to actually remove the oil level sensor by undoing the three 10mm nuts. But I want to take this out and just make sure it's compatible with the new sump. But I really don't want to break this because they are quite expensive, unless you buy a cheap Chinese copy. And do you really want a cheap Chinese copy of something that does the job as important as checking your oil level? I don't think so. There you go. Okay, that's perfect. The question is, will this hit something in the engine when this is inserted because of the repositioning of the oil level sensor? Yeah, let's get the sump off and find out.
Now, if you've ever taken the sump off a Golf, you'll know there are a couple of bolts hidden away in the bell housing, which make it a lot harder than it otherwise would be. I'm pleased to report there's nothing like that on the RS4. Yes, there's a lot to take apart, but none of it is frustrating.
I can see the gap now. So it took quite a few whacks, as you can see, but it just seemed like the best way to loosen it. Okay, so it's pretty loose. It's just the aircon bracket here that's holding it on. Come on. Yay! So it's probably a good time to have a look in the corner on the right hand side and see if we've got room for the oil level sensor. I think that's okay. I don't think there's any difference with the upper sump on the models. It's just this lower section that's different. It used to be here, or somewhere around here, I think here, and actually there's quite a bit of space there. So yeah, I think the first thing we need to do is put it in and just see if it fits. If anybody at Audi knows why they redesigned the position of the oil level sensor, then I'd love to know. I think the RS4 over here has got the sensor in the other position. They're both 56 reg, but one is obviously going to be earlier than the other. Anyway, let's see if we can get away with this €300 saving, or we've got to wait another 4 weeks for the correct part. Actually, while we've got them here, it'd be silly not to see which car is the newest. So that's 2007 model year, made in Ecosum, 905492. So the 90 is, they've all got that. So 5492, so 5,500. And this one is, again, 7N Ecosum 903848. So it's nearly a couple of thousand earlier off the production line than this one. So this one's got the earlier sump. Sorry, this one's got the earlier sump. This one's got the later one, and we're fitting the later one to this car. I think that's probably a good thing. And even the workshop manual shows the level sensor on this outer section here. And I'm looking at this just to see which way this goes in, because annoyingly it can go in a few different ways, but it looks like that's how it sits with the plug facing that way. So let's get that bolted on and see if we've got away with it. Okay, so this is the big moment. It's slightly annoying. I'm going to get oil on the flange of the sump because you need it to be perfectly clean when you put the sealant on. But this is so important, we just cannot wait. So yeah, that's not great. That is not great. Hello. We're in. It's perfect. All the bolts are lined up. I can show you. We have it. I'm pushing hard and there's no gap. That is the result. So yeah, if anybody knows why Audi did this, then please do let me know. Maybe they just wanted to put a couple of inches of less loom on to save money. But there we go. Obviously there might be some technical issue once it's all assembled, which I'll have to take a gamble on, but you know, the level sensors, it's clever, but it ain't that clever. It just needs oil. And yeah, I can see the oil will be able to accumulate around it in that position. So that is great news. Right, let's get it off, clean it up, and start icing the cake. Okay, just thought I'd quickly show you the two sumps together. So this is the original one, which we think is the older design. It has the oil level sensor here in this corner. This is a new one, the same basic outline, as you can see. It's just that the oil level sensor has moved from that corner to that corner there. And that is it. They're identical in every other way. Where this bit is raised, this bit is flat, but then this bit is raised and this bit is flat. So yeah, weird, but it looks like we've got away with it, which is great. Now I'm going to clean everything up, in particular the bottom of the upper sump, so we have a clean contact area for the new sump, and this needs cleaning as well because it's been test fitted. And then we'll start icing the sealant onto the flange. I just thought you might want to see what the bottom of 190, well actually it's a 140,000 mile engine looks like, because this car had a new engine at 50 something thousand miles. So I really don't know what these look like. I don't take sumps off very often, but I can't see anything that would make me think it's particularly high mileage. There's no carbon build-up. And I think most impressively, oil pickup, which is the bane of some B7s because of the extended oil change intervals, the gauze is absolutely perfect. So that just shows that regular servicing can keep an engine going a lot longer than extended service intervals. What's also good is that there doesn't seem to be an awful lot of residue from the sealant they use in the factory, so this just needs a quick scotch pad to get it how we want it, but there's no like loads of it to peel off, which is good. Now, because I really don't want to have to do this job again, I'm using a clean microfiber, some brake cleaner, and I'm going to give this another wipe over, and then just before we fit it we're going to give the bottom of the engine another wipe as well with this clean microfiber. So these are the instructions from Audi on how to do this. It's pretty self-explanatory about the bead of sealant. It's always on the inside of the bolt holes, which is pretty obvious. They've marked 3 areas where you need to follow what they say, but they're pretty obvious as well. You need to cut the nozzle on the sealant so it's 2 mil wide, and then the bead comes out at 2.5 mil. And you've got, did I say 5 minutes after you've applied the silicone to the sump to get it on the car? And then there's 3 ways, 3 different procedures for tightening up. Well, actually 2. Tighten all bolts to initial, no, it says actually 3. Hand tight, then 5 Newton meters in diagonal sequence, and then 9 Newton meters in diagonal sequence. And that is it. They say check the date of the sealant. Mine's actually just in date. I bought this in the summer for an Up GTI. There's nothing special about this. It's L-ring, just standard sump sealer. So you just ice it on. Okay, so let's start off in this top right hand corner where these 2 bolt holes are actually a bit further out and the sealant bead needs to be quite close to the edge. So let's start off with that tricky bit first. 2.5 mil wide it says. You shouldn't overdo it because you will then end up with sealant in the sump blocking up the oil pickup. Actually the oil bloody level sensor's in the way a bit actually now. I'll just reposition myself. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. It's not perfect, but you've got to remember it does squish down anyway when you get it on the car, so it's just important that we don't have too much, but we have enough for it to seal, and I think that should be just right. So yeah, now the clock is ticking. I've got 5 minutes to get it on.
Okay, so as far as I'm aware now, the RS4 is mechanically tip-top apart from a dynamic engine mount fault that doesn't really affect the way the car drives. I'm planning to take it into Europe in a few weeks, so the most sensible thing to do is to give it a shakedown in the UK, and we're going to do that today by driving it as far as we can go to the east, which is about 160 miles, a variety of different roads, so it should prove a good test. If it can do that, then we should be good to go for a trip to Germany in a few weeks, which should be a lot longer and a lot more punishing test. So yeah, let's hit the road in Project RS4. Okay, we're 54 miles in, we're cruising at a steady 70 on the A14 near Cambridge, and I've got to say, this does not feel like an old car. It's 20 years old this year and it still feels really fresh. The only thing is, it's quite small for what was a compact executive car back in the day, so the boot is probably enough for us going away for a few days, and you wouldn't want to carry 4 people and their luggage. You probably need a roof box for that, so it is quite compact, unlike this RS6 we're being overtaken by with no badges on it. How cool is that? Debadged, older owner, small wheels. Yeah, so that's a little bit more commodious than this car, and probably a lot quicker as well. And it'll probably do the same sort of nearly 30 to the gallon this car does, which is remarkable for an RS6, but we're about 10 years behind that with the tech in this car. So we've done 27.3 miles to the gallon now over those 55 miles now, and we saw nearly 30, so it's a bit more economical than I remember them, maybe because it's got so many miles on the clock it's loosened up quite nicely, but so far everything is running to perfection. I know that's probably tempting fate. We've got another 100 miles ahead of us, so yeah, let's see how we get on. Well, welcome to Felixstowe Port. So we've come to the end of the A14, carried on a bit. We've got Landguard Fort here, which was an important fort during the wars, and you can visit it, I think, during the summer. We've got a great cafe here called the Viewpoint Cafe, which has got a great view of the ships coming and going. There's some big ships. So we've done 157 miles. We've done 26.6 miles per gallon, which isn't bad for a V8 on a fast drive like that. I think it'll top 30 if you drive steadily at 50 to 60, but obviously we were on fast dual carriageway, so we didn't do that. No warning lights on the dash. Should we see if there's some oil under the bonnet still? Okay. So they do have appetites for oil consumption, and they do also potentially leak it. So it's been stood for a bit, so we should have an accurate reading now. It was just above the hatching on the dipstick before, and you can't really see, but it's exactly there now. So that's a really good sign. I know the car's done 193, but the engine actually is in the 140s, I think. So yeah, but when the cars do that kind of mileage, you have to expect the unexpected, really. So yeah, it's been a bit nerve-wracking bringing it out here, but it's been as good as gold. As ever, guys, thanks for watching this Volkswagen video. Keep subscribing, keep commenting. I'll see you for the next one very soon.